Hey, for canceling the Thanksgiving orders after my mom sprang 31 guests on me? I'm Violet, 32, the daughter everyone calls when the turkey is still frozen, the folding tables are missing screws, or my mom Elaine needs a holiday to look effortless. My older sister Brooke has always been the shiny final touch in the family photos, and I've usually been the person just outside the frame with dishwater on my sleeves and a grocery receipt in my pocket. I didn't always resent holidays. That's important because people love to act like I woke up one day bitter and decided to punish everyone over mashed potatoes. When I was younger, I loved the noise of Thanksgiving. I loved hearing the front door open and close all afternoon, cousins kicking off their shoes by the mat, someone setting a pumpkin pie on the counter, somebody else yelling, "It smells amazing in here." I liked the warm windows, the gravy bubbling on the stove, the paper plates stacked too high, the cheap fall decorations my mom kept in a plastic bin in the garage. Back then, I thought being useful meant I mattered. My mom Elaine is 61 and very good at looking like the kind of woman who pulls off perfect holidays. She has a specific smile she uses when guests compliment the table. It's soft, humble, a little tired, like she has been awake since sunrise basting the turkey and polishing forks. People would say, "Elaine, you did it again," and she would laugh and wave them off. "Oh, you know," she'd say, "family helps family." That sentence became a leash. First, helping was just helping. One year she asked me to bring green bean casserole. The next year it was, "Can you do the sides? You're better at timing." Then it became the turkey because she never trusted herself with a bird that big, the ham because Brooke liked it, 2 kinds of stuffing because Uncle Ray hated mushrooms, the desserts because store-bought looked sad, the drinks because people forgot to bring enough ice, and the cleanup because my mom was too exhausted after hosting. Hosting. That word did a lot of heavy lifting. I hosted from behind her walls. I planned from my own phone. I paid from my own card. I scrubbed roasting pans in her sink at 1 a.m. while everyone else sat in the living room watching a movie and picking at leftovers. My sister Brooke, 36, was always the golden child. Not in a cartoon villain way. She wasn't evil. She was worse in some ways because she was careless, and everyone treated her carelessness like charm. Brooke would show up late with a bottle of wine, kiss mom on the cheek and say, "This house looks amazing." Then she'd take photos in front of the little family photo wall near the dining room and post them before the first plate was even filled. Her captions were always the same kind of thing. "Mom pulled off another perfect holiday. Nothing like Elaine's Thanksgiving. Our family does it big." In the background of one photo from 2 years ago, you can see me bent over by the trash can tying up a leaking bag while Brooke and Mom beam beside the table. My sleeve was wet up to the elbow. There was a Costco receipt in my back pocket for $312.46, and Mom had said, "I'll pay you back after the weekend, honey. Remind me." I reminded her twice. She forgot twice. Then when I brought it up again, she sighed and said, "Do we really need to nickel and dime family?" That was how it worked. If they needed something from me, it was family. If I needed basic fairness, it was drama. I tried to pull back before the Thanksgiving that blew everything up. I really did. The year before, after cleaning until almost 2 in the morning, I told Mom, "Next year I can bring 1 dish, but I'm not running the whole dinner." She looked hurt before I even finished the sentence. Not surprised. Hurt. Like I had said I planned to skip her funeral. "So now family dinner is too much for you?" she asked. I didn't say that. "You know I can't do all this by myself." "I know. That's why everyone should do something." Brooke, who had been sitting at the island scrolling on her phone, laughed without looking up. "Good luck getting this family to use a sign-up sheet. You're better at this anyway, Vi." "I'm tired of being better at it," I said. Mom pressed her lips together. "Don't be dramatic." That was another one. Dramatic meant I had noticed something inconvenient. So when Thanksgiving came around again, I kept my expectations low. I told myself I would bring 1 dish. Maybe 2 if things got messy. I would not buy the whole meal. I would not spend the night before peeling potatoes until my hands cramped. I would not be the unpaid stage crew for another performance called Elaine's Perfect Holiday. Then 3 days before Thanksgiving, my phone buzzed while I was making coffee. It was the family group chat. Mom had sent 4 photos of what looked like a printed document. The pages were laid out on her kitchen island, The same island where she organized every holiday like a general planning a battle she had no intention of fighting herself. The first page was titled Thanksgiving Prep. Under my name there were sections. Turkey and ham. All sides. Vegan option for Brooke's friend Tessa. Gluten-free dessert for someone named Mark. Kids table. Drink station. Pick up Aunt Carol and Uncle Ray by 1:30. Bring folding tables from garage and check screws. Set out disposable roasting pans. Buy extra trash bags. Bring leftover containers. Clean kitchen after dinner. At the bottom of page 4 Mom had written, Brooke invited a few friends this year. Don't make me look bad. Before I could even respond, Brooke added, it's only 31 people total. You're better at this than all of us anyway. 31 people total. Not can you help? Not are you free? Not we got carried away and need to figure this out. Just 31 people and a list with my name stapled all over it. I stared at my phone long enough for the screen to dim. My first instinct was to type a whole paragraph. I wanted to ask who had invited these people, who was paying for this, why my name was attached to half the tasks, and when exactly my family had voted me into a job I never applied for. But I knew how that would go. Mom would call. Her voice would go soft and wounded. Brooke would jump in with jokes. Someone would mention tradition. Someone would say I was making it awkward. By the end, they would have turned my refusal into a character flaw. And I would be standing in a grocery store 2 days later with a cart full of food and a stomach full of resentment. So I typed one word. Sure. Mom replied with a heart emoji. Brooke sent, love you. I put my phone face down and finished my coffee. That afternoon Mom called anyway. I just want to make sure you saw the list, she said. I saw it. Good. Brooke's friends are excited. She's been telling everyone how we do Thanksgiving. There was a tiny pause. You know what I mean? No, I don't think I do. Mom exhaled through her nose. Violet, please don't start. I need you to be normal about this. Normal meant quiet. She continued. The turkey needs to start thawing tonight if it isn't already. Do you still have those big serving trays? And the drink dispenser with the little chalkboard label? Why? Because people expect a nice setup. Brooke already printed a little menu. She printed a menu? It's cute. Don't make that face. She couldn't see my face, but she knew me well enough to imagine it. What's on the menu? I asked. Oh, the usual. Turkey, ham, mashed potatoes, sweet potatoes, mac and cheese, green beans, stuffing, cranberry sauce, rolls, pumpkin pie, apple pie, and that salad you make with the pecans. The usual, I repeated. Violet. Her voice sharpened. It's not like you have anything more important to do. That line landed differently than the others. I had heard versions of it before. You're single so you have time. You don't have kids so you can run around. You're organized so it's easy for you. You're good at it so why complain? But this time something in me went still. Not angry in the loud way. Not yet. Just cold. I said, okay. Mom softened immediately, thinking she had won. Thank you. I knew you'd come through. After we hung up, I opened a folder on my phone and started taking screenshots. The 4-page list. Moms don't make me look bad. Brooke's 31 people total. Mom's text from earlier that week saying, I'll reimburse you for anything big. Old texts from previous holidays where she promised the same thing. I searched my email for Costco receipts, grocery pickups, and catering add-ons from the last few years. I found more than I expected. A $198 grocery pickup. A $312 Costco run. $87 for disposable trays, paper plates, plastic cups, and trash bags. $64 for last-minute pies after Brooke forgot. She had volunteered for dessert. My hands were steady while I saved all of it. The next day, Brooke came over to Mom's while I was there dropping off a small box of decorations I had bought years ago, and somehow become responsible for every November. Mom had the prep list spread open on the island. Brooke stood beside her in a cream sweater, sipping coffee from a mug she had not made, talking about her friends like she was hosting a charity gala. Tessa is vegan but not annoying vegan, Brooke said. Mark is gluten-free but I think he still eats gravy? I don't know. Jenna might bring wine. The kids can eat whatever. I looked at the list. Who is making the vegan option? Brooke blinked. You. I didn't agree to cook for your friends. Mom tapped the paper with one fingernail. You said sure. I said sure after you sent me a completed schedule with my name already on it. Brooke made a face. Can we not do this? My friends already think you're a little intense. I turned to her. Why do your friends have an opinion about me? Because I told them you're the food person. Like in a good way. She laughed, but it came out thin. Just don't make it weird. Mom gave me that look. The one that said I was embarrassing her by having a spine in front of Brooke. Family helps family, Mom said. Brooke's friends are not family. They're guests in my home. Then you host them. Brooke set her mug down. It's not that big of a deal. You make too much food every year anyway. I make too much food because you invite people without telling anyone. That happened one time. It happened last Christmas. Okay, twice. Mom cut in. Enough. Violet, I need you to be kind. Brooke is trying to include people who don't have plans. That was clever. It made the issue sound like I was against lonely people eating Thanksgiving dinner, not against being assigned unpaid labor for a crowd. I looked at Brooke. How many of them know I'm cooking? Brooke rolled her eyes. Nobody cares who's cooking. They're just excited. I smiled a little. Not because anything was funny, but because I had just learned something. They were not worried about me saying no. They were worried about me saying no where someone else could hear it. That evening my phone buzzed with a text from a number I didn't recognize. Hey Violet. This is Jenna, Brooke's friend. She gave me your number for food questions. I sent Brooke $60 for dinner. Do you need me to bring anything else? Wine. Rolls. I read it once. Then again. Then I sat down at my kitchen table because suddenly I did not trust myself to stand. Brooke had given out my number for food questions. Brooke had taken money. Brooke had taken money for a dinner she expected me to buy, cook, serve, and clean. I typed carefully. Hi Jenna. Just to clarify, what was the $60 for? She replied almost immediately. Oh. Brooke said since there were so many people, we could send something to help with Thanksgiving dinner. She said her mom was planning/cooking for everyone, but that costs were adding up. Then another message. Was that not right? Sorry, I don't want to cause confusion. I stared at the words her mom was planning/cooking until they blurred. Could you send me a screenshot of the payment memo? I asked. A minute later Jenna sent it. $60 to Brooke. Memo, Thanksgiving dinner. I thanked her and told her I would check with Brooke. Then I checked everything else. Brooke's Facebook page was public enough for me to see the post she had made that morning. It was a photo of Mom's dining room from 2 years ago because of course it was. The table looked beautiful. Candles, runner, matching plates, little pumpkins. None of the chaos showed. None of me showed. Brooke had written, "Can't wait for Mom's big Thanksgiving dinner. She's planning and cooking for everyone like always. Our family does holidays big." Underneath, friends commented that they were excited. "Sent you mine," one wrote. "Do you still need me to bring wine or is it covered?" Wrote another. "Your mom is an angel for this," someone else said. I switched to the family group chat. Mom had told Aunt Carol, "Violet insisted on handling the kitchen again this year. You know how she is." I sat there in the quiet holding my phone, and all the little pieces clicked into place. This was not a misunderstanding. This was a business plan and I was the unpaid labor. Brooke got the social credit for having a generous family. Mom got the perfect host image. Some of Brooke's friends paid toward a dinner that neither Brooke nor Mom planned to fund properly. And I was supposed to absorb the cost, the time, the stress, and probably the blame if anything went wrong. For about 10 minutes I wanted to call Brooke and ask her who she thought she was. I wanted to call Mom and ask why her pride always seemed to cost me money. But I knew screaming was how they turned facts into feelings. If I yelled, Mom would say I was hysterical. Brooke would say I was jealous. The actual issue would disappear under tone and tears. So I did not yell. I made a folder. I saved Jenna's screenshot. I saved Brooke's Facebook post. I saved Mom's text saying I had insisted on handling the kitchen. I saved the list. I saved the old receipts. I saved old reimbursement promises. Then I texted Jenna one more question. "Do you know if anyone else sent money?" Jenna responded a few minutes later. "I think a bunch of us did." Brooke said $50 to $60 was fine. I know Tessa, Mark, Abby, Lauren, and Chris sent. Maybe a few more. By the end of the night, without asking anyone to spy for me, I had proof from 3 people and names from several more. At least 9 guests had sent Brooke money. 9 people at $50 or $60 each. Not enough to buy a yacht. Enough to make the whole thing ugly. The next morning, the day before Thanksgiving, Mom texted me at 7:12 a.m. Can you confirm turkey is handled? Brooke texted at 7:18. Can you make sure there's enough mac and cheese? Mark said he's bringing his brother to LOL. Then Mom again. Please pick up extra ice. And don't forget Aunt Carol. I looked at the messages while standing in front of my fridge. I had a grocery pickup scheduled under my name for that afternoon. Turkey, ham, potatoes, butter, cream, vegetables, rolls, pie ingredients, drinks, ice, paper plates, foil, trash bags. I had made the order because a part of me, even after everything, had still moved automatically. My body knew the holiday routine before my brain could stop it. I opened the app and canceled the order. A confirmation email came through a minute later. Cancelled. I had also added 2 catering trays from a local grocery store deli, because I knew 31 people could destroy a side dish faster than anyone admitted. Those were under my name too, paid with my card. Cancelled. I walked to my hallway closet and pulled out the big reusable serving trays I had bought over the years. The drink dispenser with the little chalkboard label. The cloth napkins Mom liked because they looked better in photos. The extra extension cord for the warming tray. The stack of leftover containers I always brought because everyone wanted food to take home but nobody brought containers. None of it belonged to Mom. None of it belonged to Brooke. I loaded it into my car. Then I drove to Mom's house. She wasn't home when I got there. She had told the group chat she was getting her nails done before the madness. Brooke's car wasn't there either. The house looked ready from a distance. Wreath on the door. Pumpkins on the steps. Inside, the dining room had a runner on the table and wine glasses set out in neat rows. In the kitchen, there were paper plates near the island, a half-empty box of plastic cups, and the 4-page list under a ceramic pumpkin. There was no turkey thawing in the sink. No potatoes. No pies cooling. No drink station. No folding tables set up. Just the stage. I did not touch anything that belonged to them. I didn't dump food. I didn't hide their supplies. I didn't wreck the table. I didn't cancel anyone else's order. There was nothing to sabotage because the plan had never been a plan. It had been me. I took back the box of decorations I had dropped off earlier that week because I had paid for them. I took the disposable roasting pans I had bought and left the ones Mom had in her pantry. I took my spare tablecloths, my serving spoons, and the folding chairs I had purchased years earlier after Mom complained hers looked tacky. Then I placed a manila envelope on the kitchen island. On the outside I wrote, "For whoever gets told I ruined dinner." Inside I put printed screenshots of the list. Mom's "Don't make me look bad." Brooke's 31 people total. Mom telling relatives I had insisted on handling the kitchen. Brooke's Facebook post. Jenna's payment screenshot. 2 other payment confirmations with names blurred except Brooke's. And copies of old receipts with Mom's reimbursement promises underneath. On top I placed one note. I didn't cancel Thanksgiving. I canceled my unpaid shift. I did not agree to cook, pay for, serve, or clean up after 31 people. If a holiday only works when one person is silently used, it was never a family tradition. I also sent Venmo requests to Mom and Brooke. To Mom, $312.46. Memo. Costco Thanksgiving reimbursement you promised. To Mom, $198.22. Memo. Grocery pickup from last year. To Brooke, $64.09. Memo. Dessert you volunteered for and I paid for. To Brooke, $540. Memo. Thanksgiving guest contributions you collected for dinner you assigned to me. That last number was my estimate based on what I had proof of. I did not expect her to pay it. I wanted the memo visible. Then I left. I spent Thanksgiving morning at home. I made coffee. I scrambled eggs. I put my phone on Do Not Disturb except for texts from Marissa, my cousin, because she was usually the one person who could look at family drama without immediately picking a side. At 10:04 a.m. Mom called. I let it ring. At 10:07, Brooke called. I let it ring. At 10:12, Mom texted. Where are the serving trays? At 10:13. Violet, answer me. At 10:15. This is not funny. Brooke texted at 10:19. Did you seriously take the drink thing? Then. Can you just bring it back? People are coming at 2. I did not answer. At 11:03, Mom left a voicemail. I didn't listen right away, but the transcript popped up. Violet, I don't know what kind of point you think you're making, but this is not the day. Call me back right now. After everything I've done for you, I cannot believe you would embarrass me like this. After everything I've done for you. There it was, wrapped in a bow. At 12:41, my doorbell camera app started sending notifications from Mom's house because I was still connected from when I had helped install it 2 years earlier. I had forgotten I even had access. Person detected. Person detected. Person detected. I didn't watch live at first. I didn't need to see people arriving. I could imagine it too clearly. Guests holding pies, wine bottles, store-bought rolls. Brooke opening the door with a tight smile. Mom standing in the kitchen trying to make empty counters look temporary. At 1:16, Marissa texted me. Hey, I just got here. What is happening? I replied. Look at the kitchen island. 3 dots appeared. Then disappeared. Then appeared again. Elaine said you bailed, Marissa wrote. I left an envelope. A minute passed. Then she wrote. She just put it under paper plates. I stared at that message and almost laughed. Of course Mom had tried to hide it. The truth was inconvenient and she had guests. I typed, read it. Marissa didn't answer for several minutes. During those minutes, the family group chat started lighting up. Uncle Ray. Violet, your mother says dinner is delayed because of you? Cousin Daniel. You picked Thanksgiving to make a point? Someone's wife who barely knew me. This seems cruel. Brooke. Violet decided to punish everyone because she didn't like being asked to help. Mom. I am heartbroken. I never thought my daughter would do this to family. I waited. My phone felt heavy in my hand, but I waited. Then Marissa sent one message to the group chat. Elaine, why is there an envelope on the island with screenshots showing Violet never agreed to this? Nobody replied for almost a full minute. Then Brooke wrote, Marissa, stay out of it. Marissa. I thought Violet was overreacting, but this is a lot. Mom. This is private. Marissa. You were blaming her in front of everyone. That wasn't private. I could picture the kitchen then. Mom near the sink, her nice blouse already wrinkling. Brooke with her phone in her hand, cheeks getting red. Aunt Carol standing somewhere nearby, probably holding a dish towel because she always picked one up when she was uncomfortable. Later, Marissa told me exactly how it happened. She said when she arrived, the dining room looked pretty, but the kitchen looked wrong. There were wine glasses and a table runner and a printed menu near the plates, but no smell of turkey. No pot on the stove. No trays covered in foil. No desserts on the sideboard. The folding tables were half set in the living room, one with a wobbly leg that nobody had fixed. A few guests were standing around holding bottles and looking toward the oven like food might appear if they were polite enough. One of Brooke's friends asked, Is dinner running late? Brooke smiled too fast. Violet was supposed to be here. She's being difficult. Mom added, She decided to punish her family on Thanksgiving. That was when Marissa noticed the envelope. She saw my handwriting. She reached for it, and Mom slid a stack of paper plates over it. Marissa said, What is that? Mom said, Nothing. Aunt Carol, who had been standing near the sink with that dish towel in her hand, said, If it's nothing, let her see it. Mom didn't move. So Marissa moved the paper plates herself. The first page she pulled out was the prep list. Then the texts. Then the payment screenshot. Jenna was there. She saw her own name on the Venmo screenshot and stepped closer. Wait, Jenna said. You charged us for this dinner and your sister was supposed to pay for it? Brooke's face went red all the way down her neck. It wasn't like that, she said. Jenna held up her phone. I sent you $60. That was to help. Help who? Jenna asked. Because you told me your mom was cooking. Mom tried to step in. This is a family misunderstanding. Aunt Carol said. It doesn't sound like a misunderstanding. Brooke snapped. Aunt Carol, you don't know the whole story. Aunt Carol looked at Mom, not Brooke. Did Violet actually agree to any of this? She asked. Mom said, she knows how holidays work in this family. Aunt Carol's voice stayed calm. That wasn't my question. No one needed a dramatic gasp. No one needed a speech. According to Marissa, that was the moment people understood. Because Mom couldn't say yes. She could say family helps family. She could say I knew how holidays worked. She could say I had always done it before. But she could not say I had agreed. The group chat kept going. Brooke. Violet is twisting this. She said sure. Marissa. After you sent a list assigning her everything. Cousin Daniel. Still, leaving everyone with no dinner is messed up. Marissa. She didn't invite 31 people. She didn't collect money. She didn't promise a meal. Then Aunt Carol typed, slowly enough that the typing bubbles appeared 3 times before the message sent. I want a yes or no. Did Violet agree? Mom didn't answer. So I did. I sent the screenshots to the family group chat in one batch. The list. The messages. Brooke's post. The payment proof. The old receipts. The Venmo requests. Then I wrote one sentence. You didn't need me as family. You needed me as staff. My phone exploded after that. Some relatives went quiet, which honestly said more than any apology would have. Some doubled down because people hate realizing they were part of something ugly. Uncle Ray wrote, this should have been handled privately. I replied, I tried privately for years. Public lies got public receipts. Brooke called me 6 times. Mom called 4. I didn't answer. Jenna texted me separately. I'm really sorry. I had no idea. I asked Brooke for my money back. I told her, you didn't do anything wrong. She replied, for what it's worth, a few of us are leaving. They did. Not all of them, but enough. A few guests made excuses. Someone suddenly needed to check on their dog. Someone else said they had another stop to make. One couple left their store-bought rolls on the counter and backed out of the kitchen like they had walked into a crime scene. The people who stayed were uncomfortable, which might have been worse. They stood around while Brooke ordered last-minute food from whatever places were still open or taking holiday orders. The delivery fees were ridiculous. The mashed potatoes arrived cold. The turkey slices came in plastic catering trays, pale and sad. The mac and cheese was the wrong kind, which would have been funny if Brooke hadn't looked like she was about to throw her phone through a window. Jenna and at least 2 others asked Brooke for refunds before they left. Brooke tried to say the money was being used for dinner now. Jenna said, I paid for Thanksgiving dinner, not emergency takeout because you lied to your sister. That line made it into the family chat because Marissa heard it and apparently decided she was done being neutral. Marissa wrote, for the record, Brooke is using the money she collected to order food now. Violet was not paid or asked. Brooke replied, are you seriously live commenting this? Marissa wrote, yes. Aunt Carol added, good. I didn't enjoy every second of it. I know people expect that in stories like this, like I sat at home with a glass of wine cackling while my family collapsed over cranberry sauce. I didn't. I felt shaky. I felt sad. I felt relieved. I felt guilty for about 5 minutes. And then I looked at the screenshot of Brooke's friend asking if she should bring wine after sending $60 for a dinner I was supposed to fund, and the guilt burned off. I had not ruined Thanksgiving. I had removed the lie that made it function. The next day, Mom called at 9:03 a.m. I let it go to voicemail. She called again at 9:08, then 9:11. At 9:20 she texted, we need to talk. I replied, you can call at 10. If you yell, I'm hanging up. She called at exactly 10. For a moment, neither of us said anything. Then Mom said, you embarrassed me. Not I'm sorry. Not, I didn't realize how much I put on you. Not Brooke shouldn't have taken money. You embarrassed me. I was standing in my own quiet kitchen, looking at a sink with 1 coffee mug in it instead of 27 plates, and I felt something settle in me. No, Mom, I said. I stopped protecting a lie. She inhaled sharply. That is not fair. What part? You made me look like I use you. You used me. I'm your mother. I know. After everything I've done. Do not start with that. My voice stayed calm, but I heard the edge in it. You don't get to use being my mother as a receipt you can cash forever. She went quiet. I continued. You told people I offered. I didn't. Brooke told people you were cooking. You weren't. Brooke collected money for a dinner you both expected me to pay for and make. Then when it fell apart, you blamed me in front of guests. Mom's voice got smaller, which used to work on me. I was overwhelmed. So was I. For years. You could have just said no. I laughed once, not because it was funny. I did. Many times. You called it drama. You called it selfish. You told me family helps family. You told me it's not like I had anything more important to do. That came out wrong. No. It came out honest. She didn't have anything to say to that. I heard movement on her end, maybe her sitting down. For the first time in a long time, she sounded less angry than unsure. What do you want from me? She asked. Nothing vague, I said. I'm done with vague. I had written my rules down before the call because I knew if I tried to explain from emotion, she would pull me into the old rhythm. I will not cook, clean, buy, host, pick up guests, watch kids, set tables, fix furniture, or manage holiday events unless I clearly agree in advance. Not because someone puts my name on a list. Not because Brooke tells people something is covered. Not because you need to look good. Mom was silent. I kept going. If I buy anything, costs are split before I make the purchase. Not after. Not remind me. Not we'll figure it out. If you tell relatives I offered to do something I didn't offer to do, I will correct you in the same chat. If Brooke collects money for anything, she either uses it for that thing or refunds it. I am not the family kitchen, wallet, and broom. Mom said. That's a very cold way to talk about family. No, I said. It's a very clear way to talk about labor. She started crying then. Quietly. I could hear her breathing change. A year earlier, maybe even a month earlier, that would have cracked me open. I would have softened. I would have said I didn't mean to hurt her. I would have agreed to something small, and the small thing would have grown teeth. This time I waited. Finally she said, I don't know how holidays are supposed to work now. I said, like everyone else's. People bring food. People help clean. People don't invite 31 guests unless they can feed them. She didn't apologize on that call. Not really. The closest she got was, I shouldn't have said you offered. I said, no, you shouldn't have. Brooke texted me later that afternoon. You made me look like a scammer. I replied, you took money for food you expected me to provide. She wrote, it was to help with dinner. I wrote, then it should have gone to whoever was buying and cooking dinner. She didn't answer for almost an hour. Then she sent, I refunded Jenna. Happy. I didn't respond. Over the next few days, the family split in the way families do when the truth is obvious but accountability is inconvenient. Some people said I had gone too far. Uncle Ray told Aunt Carol that I had chosen humiliation over communication, and Aunt Carol apparently told him, no, Elaine chose a performance over honesty. He stopped bringing it up around her. Cousin Daniel sent me a long message about how Thanksgiving was not the time to make a point. I sent him the 4-page list and asked which section he wanted next year. He replied with a thumbs-up emoji and never mentioned it again. Marissa called me 2 days after Thanksgiving. I'm sorry, she said. For what? For thinking you were probably being intense. I smiled, tired but grateful. To be fair, I am intense. Yeah, but this wasn't that. She paused. I knew you did a lot. I don't think I realized you did all of it. That's the trick, I said. If it goes well, it looks easy. Marissa sighed. Aunt Carol said the same thing. She feels bad. Aunt Carol called me herself that weekend. She didn't make excuses. She didn't turn it into a speech. She just said, I should have spoken sooner. That one sentence meant more than the half apologies everyone else kept trying to dress up as concern. I said, thank you. She said, next holiday, if your name is on a task you didn't choose, I'm not coming. I laughed because I thought she was joking. She wasn't. Christmas planning started 2 weeks later, because apparently my family cannot learn one lesson without immediately scheduling a test. Mom sent a message to the family group chat, thinking we should keep Christmas simple this year. Maybe potluck style. Brooke did not respond. Marissa replied. Great. Shared calendar. Aunt Carol replied, yes. Mom waited 12 minutes before sending a shared calendar link. It was not perfect. Of course it wasn't. Mom still tried to put main dish under TBD, and then text me privately asking, do you think you might want to do the ham? I wrote back, no. No explanation. No apology. Just no. She replied with, okay. It looked strange on my screen. Small. Almost unbelievable. By Christmas, the calendar had actual names on it. Aunt Carol took sweet potatoes. Marissa took salad and rolls. Daniel took drinks and ice after I publicly asked whether he wanted to contribute something besides commentary. Mom took ham because, as Marissa wrote, hosts can cook too. Brooke signed up for dessert and paper goods. 2 days before Christmas, Brooke posted a picture of store-bought pies in her cart with the caption, doing my part before Violet sends another invoice. It was petty. It was also the first time I had ever seen her publicly admit she had a part. I didn't go early to set up. I didn't fix the wobbly table. I didn't bring backup trash bags. When someone realized there weren't enough serving spoons, Mom washed 2 from the drawer. When the drink station ran out of ice, Daniel went to buy more. When dessert was late because Brooke forgot whipped cream, nobody looked at me. The world did not end. The holiday was messier. The food was less coordinated. The table didn't look like one of Brooke's old photos. People had to stand up and get their own refills. Someone spilled gravy and cleaned it themselves. It was the most relaxed family holiday I had attended in years. Mom was still stiff with me. Brooke was still sarcastic. A few relatives still acted like I had committed some unforgivable sin by letting Thanksgiving collapse under the weight of its own lies. But something had changed that they could not unchange. They had all seen the machine without me inside it. They had seen that the perfect holiday did not come from Mom's magic or Brooke's charm. It came from hours of planning, shopping, cooking, carrying, washing, and paying that everyone had been trained not to notice because noticing would require helping. I am not saying my family became healthy overnight. They didn't. Mom still cares too much about how things look. Brooke still likes credit more than effort. Some people still think I should have taken the high road, by which they mean the quiet road where nothing changes. But I don't take assignments disguised as love anymore. When Mom says, family helps family, I say, then family can sign up. When Brooke says, you're better at this, I say, then you'll learn. When someone hints that I made everyone uncomfortable, I say, good. Comfort was expensive when I was the only one paying for it. I kept the original prep list. It's folded in the back of a drawer with the envelope note. Not because I want to stay angry forever, but because sometimes I need a reminder of how casual it looked when they wrote my name beside work they never had the right to assign. Thanksgiving did happen that year. Just wasn't the Thanksgiving they advertised. Brooke refunded the people who pushed. Mom stopped telling relatives I insisted on helping. Marissa stopped playing neutral when neutral meant watching one person get used. Aunt Carol started asking very simple questions that ruin very complicated lies. And me? I stopped confusing being needed with being loved. I didn't skip a family dinner. I quit a job I never applied for. If you liked it, don't forget to leave a comment and support the channel by subscribing. See you in the upcoming stories.